late start, but we're gonna cover a lot of things today, and I think we're gonna be okay within next 1 hour. So it's quite important for us today to discuss the new capabilities that we launched several days ago. It's all about the remote management and the features that are available right in the Managed Backup Service interface. And so the goal for this webinar is to give you really deep details, how it works, what are the benefits you can get from there, because we get a lot of questions like why should I care, why should I use that, and what are the benefits, and how it works, etc., etc. So again, this webinar is intended to give you further details, deep details, so you can get better understanding and apply that technology in your cases. My name is Eugene. So I work as a solutions architect here at Cloudberry. Mostly cover technical things. So probably some of you have been in touch with me. So thanks very much. That's great. And so a couple of things that I want to mention before we begin. So the webinar is going to be recorded. So we're definitely going to put it somewhere and share the link with you so you can review, take a look at the features once again, get more details, and get requirements for using that feature, prerequisites, and so on and so forth. There is also a Q&A box, questions box. So if you have any questions or any comments, or if you want to provide your feedback, which is going to be really helpful for us, so feel free to do that. Use the questions box. And one more thing, just to really understand, what features are quite important on this webinar, are polls. So I'm going to launch a few polls right now, just to get better understanding who I meet today. And there is a button and the answer box next to the question. So feel free to use that tool for giving you your answers. So the first question is going to be: are you service provider, or do you manage more than 10 computers? So I really appreciate if you can place your reply and give me better understanding what kind of things you manage today. So I can see that sound keeps cutting. So hopefully, let me just readjust the connection. Yeah, so hope it's better right now. Excellent. So I still want to give some time to people who are still, giving their replies. Okay, perfect. Excellent. So I'm going to close the poll right now and, share results. So the results, okay, so noted. Okay, I'm going to launch the other poll, which is also very important because, we're talking about different operating systems, and I really wondered to see what you usually manage in terms of operating systems. Excellent. So Windows, Linux, Mac, or mix of everything means that Windows, Linux, and Mac, FreeBSD and everything else, like all these exotic operating systems, just in case. All right, excellent. So thanks very much. Looks like 50-50. I need to cover Windows, Linux, and Mac, which is great. Noted also. And one more question, really, just to make sure that you're familiar with the platform that we use, that we have actually, and that we develop for you, is do you use a cloud managed backup service, which is MBS? I'm sorry, there are just two answers. If you don't see in any of these, just ignore. Okay. This is great. Great to hear and great to see lots of existing providers and customers of our platform. And I'm really, happy to see those who do not use the platform today, but considering to do that. I hope the webinar that we're gonna, talk about today, and the topic that we're gonna talk about today, will give you more push, like will, give you more interest in our platform. And but anyway, so that's really cool. So thank you very much for your actions and for your feedback. This is really helpful. Again, this is because we want to make sure that we show you relevant content, and the message that we are trying to deliver to you makes sense to you, and you understand what we are talking about. Because the remote assistant, the extension for the remote management that I'm going to show you today makes sense. I mean, from the Cloudberry perspective, from the managed backup service perspective, makes sense only when you know what is MBS. However, if you don't use it, or you considering to use and you haven't seen the interface yet, I'm gonna make really brief introduction of MBS anyway. So I really apologize for those who use it. I need to do that, so that's gonna take just a couple of minutes. So let's just go ahead and quickly go to to our slides. That's going to be a few slides, and then rest of the time we'll spend for features demonstration. A couple of words about Cloudberry. We established in 2008, and initially and still we are focused on the data management for your computers. So basically, our major product, our initial first product was Cloudberry Explorer. So for those of you who remember 2008, it's great. So Cloudberry Explorer was one of the first file manager for AWS S3 technology and Glacier. So we later introduced Cloudberry Backup, which is our flagship product, and it's obviously designed for data protection, for backing up your computer's data, your image-based backups, your image-based backups or file-based backups to any cloud of your choice, any storage provider of your choice, and it can be AWS, S3, Azure, Google, OpenStack technology, and so on and so forth. So basically, our primary focus is cloud technologies, and we do data management, and the flagship product from us is a backup. So in 2011, we introduced Managed Backup Service, which is also known as MBS. So it's a platform designed for service providers and big corporate branches where you have lots of computers and you want single place of management. So basically, you have web interface. So MBS is web interface where you go and start your computer's management. So basically, you back up those computers, you assign users, you play with different license types that we have from MBS perspective. You manage operating systems, you manage storage accounts, storage limits, storage quotas, and so on and so forth. We are advanced technology partner with AWS. So this is very important, obviously, because we started with AWS initially. And at the same time, we do a lot of relationship with other key members and vendors and platforms on the market, including VMware, Microsoft, Google, Oracle, ConnectWise, LabTech, and so on and so forth. So this is just a really brief introduction, and just to give you an idea where we are in terms of Cloudberry, in terms of our company. So again, I've seen lots of, like 30% of replies from your side was that you don't really use MBS, but you consider to use. Again, really apologize for repeating the content. So for those of you who use it today, but again, MBS is a web interface. Is basically a big platform that we developed a few years ago, and what it gives you today. So it gives you a single place, a single entry point for you as administrator, as a responsible person for IT infrastructure of either third-party company or your corporate department. So basically, in that interface, you create builds. So when we talk about builds, we talk about different product types. Can be built for Windows operating system, can be built for Mac operating system, Mac OS X, or Linux or Unix platform. So we have all those builds in a product, and we actually will see that today. You also assign those builds to a certain license. So basically, you assign a license to a certain user, and a certain user means that user runs on the computer, and user is able to use certain license with a certain build. So you do that to everything in the interface of the product, in the web interface of the managed backup platform. And the key thing is that right in MBS, you manage your storage accounts as well. So any storage of your choice, any technology, your, let's say, open source configurations, or any public storage provider, again, like Microsoft Azure or AWS or Google platform, or anything that you see in our website or you use currently is supported. If we don't support it, just let us know. We will consider to do that. So basically, you manage the storage accounts, your storage capacities, and you assign those storage capacities to your users. So those users can can back up, and you actually back up their data, and you manage their data. And finally, on top of that, it's quite important probably for service providers that we offer, software rebrand. So it can be your icons there, it can be, your pictures, your splash screen, your company information right in our product. So we generate a custom build for you. I mean, you do that personally through the managed backup service interface, right in the web interface, and you get certain builds, and your consumer, the company with whom you work as a service provider, doesn't really know anything about us. So it's all yours. So offer this advanced rebranding to your consumers, to your companies. So let's move on. Okay, so as we're talking about the extension for, extension for remote management, so what I decided to do is just give you, a few things. So these are really basic, and they are obvious, but just maybe to refresh the knowledge. So the remote desktop protocol is something that we may use on daily basis. It's actually, a protocol, Windows protocol, right? So you can connect to another computer, and you can, have a graphic interface, and you can manage that computer. So it listens to a default port, which is 3389. So TCP and UDP ports are used here. And this is really obvious. You don't have to explain it, Eugene, but why you talk about that. Well, the reason I'm talking about that is that we actually adopt that technology in our product, but we do some really good things for those protocols and those technologies. So that's why those basics are coming here. Again, RDP, or remote desktop protocol, is something that we use for remote management across Windows computers. So the other one is remote assistant, right? So it's available starting Windows XP, well, actually more than 10 years, I believe. And so what it gives us as a administrator, as a computer administrator, is the ability to assist our user, which is on the other side. So basically, we don't have to use the RDP. I mean, the remote assistant is actually based on RDP, right? On the remote protocol. But what we can do, we can assist the user. So basically, the user can tell you what's the problem, and you can just assist that user using the keyboard and mouse and all this graphic interface in Windows. So again, The talk about that is that we, leverage those technologies and we give you something else, and you're going to see that in a few minutes. So next one is VNC, or virtual network computing. For those of you who is familiar with graphic user interface for Linux, or if you're a Mac user, so VNC is not really a new term for you. So basically, it's the way to do exactly the same like remote assistant in Windows computer, but it's this. I mean, it's just also like client server technology. And what we have, so we have VNC server paths on Mac. We can install VNC server paths on the Linux computer, and we can get access to those boxes using graphic interface and moving mouse, keyboard, and using that interface for assistance. So moving next. So finally, we are getting there. So I'm not going to talk about all these obvious things later. So I'm just giving you basics. But anyway, so that's going to be repeating probably for some of you. So SSH is obviously a protocol for Linux. Well, it's actually not for Linux, but we see that protocol mostly in Linux and Unix environments. And sometimes you may see that in Mac also when you work it. So it's just a way to get to the console of the remote computer and execute something, like execute script commands, install some updates, or some sort of software, and so on and so forth. One of the really nice thing I like about SSH is the SCP option. So basically, when I want to transfer something or I want to fetch some information from there, and I'm here on that computer, so SCP is usually the handy tool that I use. So SCP, so protocol for file transfer, and it's also based on the SSH technology. So all these basics, right? So RDP, remote assistance, VNC, and SSH finally. So these are really basics, and these are tools that you usually use for remote management, for remote control your endpoints. And obviously they are embedded, and if they are not embedded or they are not enabled, it is not really big deal to enable them and start using. Well, the most probably hardest here is VNC for Linux, but I don't really know if it's a very common case for a Linux infrastructure to have graphic user interface on the Linux box. But anyway, I think that all of other technologies, all these technologies are either embedded or enabled, and we can start using them as it is right now. So what are the benefits, and why we decided to make that webinar? So basically, MBS administrators have some benefits having remote assistance, remote desktop protocol, VNC, SSH technologies enabled on their endpoints when they have agents of CloudBerry installed on their endpoints. So the reason I'm talking about the benefits is that remember the ports for the RDP or remote assistant. It's like 3389, right? Or the SSH default port 22, or you might change it to something else. So VNC should be also configured on a certain port. So it's all about ports and the network workflow. You may have your computers running behind NAT. So for instance, you have your consumers. So you actually cover the company as a service provider, and that company has all the computers behind NAT, and there is a firewall, and those computers are not acceptable at all. But your users are asking about some assistance. For example, not only about the backup solution, but you do something else for those users, and what you want. So they ask you for some assistance, and okay, so what are your steps to get there? Okay, so you probably need to establish VPN. You need to get to that network, or you have to extend your network. You have to, anyway, you have to get to that network, and or you have to deal with routing. You have to deal with firewalls, and so on and so forth. So it's all about network flows and the endpoint availability, and firewalls, IP tables, and so on and so forth. So what we do as MBS platform and what you can do as MBS administrator. So let's take a look at this quickly. So for those of you who is not familiar with MBS, this is a great chance to take a look at the interface. I hope you can see my screen, and I hope you can see my web interface with MBS technology. Okay. So let me check quickly. All right, so this is the section where we actually see all the computers. Remember I told that MBS is the place where we manage all the computers, all the users, storage accounts, and we actually mix all together. So this section is called Remote Management, where we actually see all the available computers. Oops, let's get back. Okay, so the RMM section shows me computers where a blue icon, and the icon itself tells me that this is, that certain operating system, and right now it's available. So one of the column is connection status, and it tells me that, okay, it means that Cloudberry agent sits inside, and the status of that agent is fine. So it listens to MBS server, and it's ready to accept, administrate the sections. It can be plan, it can be, some configuration things, it can be some troubleshooting steps, can be, some management, maintenance steps, like if we want to update the agent or we want to do something with that agent. So the button connect here different for Windows comparing to Linux and Mac. So when we take the connect button to my Windows computer, it's probably wrong computer. Probably gonna click the other one. Okay, so we actually have two options. You see that warning message tells you about the status of the feature. So right now it's free and it's currently in beta, but it works pretty good. And we're going to see that right now. So we have two options for Windows computer. It can be RDP connection, which is classic remote desktop protocol. And what we do, so when we click connect, so what we have here, so we have a strange public IP address, and we have a strange port number, and we actually have a comment of the protocol, which is RDP. So what it actually states for. So this is the endpoint of our MBS facility. So what we do, as you have Cloudberry agent inside this computer, which is Windows 2008 R2 Exchange, and it's fully firewalled. So there are just few ports opened, and it's also available to a certain IP ranges, and that's it. So it's really good in terms of security. But if I want to get to that computer, over regular RDP session, what I will need to do, I will need to make my public IP address available, or I will need to again VPN to that network if it's behind that, or somewhere in a somewhere in a corporate network which is not available publicly. So in that case, it's going to be very complicated for me. I can't really do that. And in that case, remote desktop connection from MBS is really handy. So what we do, so by leveraging the existing agent the Cloudberry backup agent, which comes with remote management technologies. So these technologies already there. So we actually first enable remote desktop connection. If it's not available, if it's not enabled, we enable by using the agent. So agent basically goes into registry and changes the flag of this option. So from that point, we can start using that RDP protocol for getting connected to that computer. But it's not all. What else? So instead of going directly using the default Microsoft Windows port, we actually go through the random port. So this random port is generated specifically for your connection, specifically for your computer. And when we get connection, when we actually get to this computer, what we need to do, we just need to use that IP address and that port number. So your connection will be forwarded to this computer using native technology, RDP technology. So we also prepare for you icon, so you can download that icon and use it for getting to your computer. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to give you, try to connect manually. Just create a manual session demo, and so that's going to be. So let's just slide here. Where we are. Okay, so we're gonna use demo. So that's my IP address. I just don't remember the port number. So if we copy the port number, so that's my port number, and yeah, that's actually it. So we save the session, and let's just go there. If I just do that, do this, okay. So it is trying to get access to my operating system negotiation credentials right now. Okay. I just enabled the other one. So there we go. So we are connected to that remote computer. Again, that remote computer is, uses the forwarded connection through our endpoint. So the endpoint for that connection is that public IP address and that particular port. So after that forward, so what we use native mechanism, native port of the RDP, which is inside. So let's take a look at the other option, which is, for instance, the remote assistant. So it's pretty the same. When we select the remote assistant here, again, the remote assistant is based on the RDP protocol, and it's also similar idea. So we open the port for your connections on our facilities. So all your connections are going through this IP address using that particular port, and it uses the existing agent which sits in your operating system in the Windows computer. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to close it. So you're all familiar with remote assistant, and it's just similar like RDP. You get connected to your computer and you start your assistant. But again, the idea is to give you, to keep your security in place, security of your computers in place, and at the same time leverage the existing agents in your computers. So if there is backup product, you can start using that remote assistant and remote desktop protocol right now without waiting. So let's take a look at two other things that we introduced. Again, so there is a different option available for Windows and for Linux and for Mac. So let's take a look at this guy. So this is a Debian Jesse, so that's the Linux, and the connect button is available for me. So for Linux and for Mac is actually similar. We have two options. So it can be SSH connections. I think this is really interesting for Linux administrators. I've seen there are lots of replies on the Linux platforms that you have it in place. So it's really nice. So when you're Linux behind that and you have that agent available in that Linux box, the backup agent, and you want to SSH to that box, but right now you don't have that option because the SSH configured on a different port. That port is closed. It's all about network configuration things. So what you can do, you can just generate the SSH tunnel using the same approach, the same architecture like we use for Windows platform. So basically the endpoint and a certain port. So this certain port is generation specifically for this computer, for you as a provider. And it tells us that the technology is SSH. Okay, so let's grab this address and the port number. Let's just go here. So what we have, we have two terminals. And let's just start saying that we want to go to this computer. Okay, let's probably need to change it slightly. 35465. Okay, and let's just erase it. So what I'm doing here, I'm using my username, and again, so that's my port number. So that's the port number which is generated by MBS endpoint for you. And after MBS, when we send that request, so after MBS sends the request to get connection to that Linux endpoint using the standard SSH protocol through our existing agent inside. So let's take a look. Okay, so it gives me a welcome message and asks me to accept the fingerprint. So I want to do that. And there we go. So we're now in the computer. And I'm actually working with that computer over the MBS facility. So it's not direct connection, but it's a connection over this particular port. Okay, so hopefully this is clear. And let's try another thing, which I personally consider not really common case, but anyway, so we developed that technology also. So it's actually VNC, just in case if you run a graphic user interface on top of your Linux box, what we can do, we can go to your Linux box over VNC, but again using that lone circle over random port that we open for you on our MBS facility. So this is what we have. So it tells me about the IP address and the port number, and the technology is VNC. So let's grab something from Mac. So what we have from Mac, I think we have something like this. So let me just switch to here. So probably don't need that. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna just use the standard, client for connection to VNC. Okay, let's get connected. So it launched the screen sharing. Let's get there. Connect. All right, so that's my remote CentOS, and it has what actually has. It has a GNOME operating system. So what we can do, we can just enter the password, unlock the computer. Okay, so yeah, we have we are connected to Linux box over VNC protocol, so we can start to use all of this, all of the things right here. And again, it's just because the Cloudberry agent is inside. So what we just do, we use the endpoint of MBS of Managed Backup Service with a certain port number, which is always random for you. And over that particular stack, you can get connected to your native tools. And again, it's really handy when you have your computers behind network in corporate networks, and they are not accessible from where you are right now. So by using that technology, which is part of MBS, which is part of the remote management console, can give you really nice tool, really nice way to get there and start your management. So we probably haven't covered SCP, but I think for those of you who are familiar with SCP protocol and how file transfer works on top of the SSH protocol, so also makes sense. And by using that MBS facility endpoint and a certain port, you can transfer your files also. So that's really it. I'm still here, and I'm gonna check questions. If there are any questions, I will be happy to cover those questions.